Hello there. It's now becoming crystal clear to me that the big factor that pulls many into this country is not just to seek a better life. Now that the efforts of a very few people have managed to get the message about the grooming gangs into the public domain, we need to go further and recognise that many of these newcomers aren't here to merely improve their economic fortunes. From the figures coming out of the Casey audit of this whole fetid affair, it must be obvious to all what a massive pull access to our young has been for some, and probably still is. And had other members of their demographic been culturally so inclined as to report the perpetrators to the relevant authorities, this would have been ended decades ago. And yes, we are talking about decades. The more you read on social media, the more you get the message that even back in the 1970s, when there was no such thing as electronic social media, there were rumblings about this sort of activity within certain communities. So I get all hot under the collar when people like the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp talk about, "I am deeply troubled to read that a significant proportion of these cases involve non-UK nationals and asylum seekers." All he had to do was bite his pride a few years ago and have a 5-minute chinwag with Tommy Robinson to learn all he needed to know. This Casey audit report should be a cultural wake-up call for not just the UK, but for the whole of Western civilization. But there is a growing cadre in the House of Commons who will be taking a completely different view. And on Tommy Robinson, have you seen his interview with Patrick Bet-David? At one point, Tommy was recounting his experiences of talking to these young female victims, across the country, by the way. And he was just about choking on his words and in tears as he talked about it. While most of our politicians' eyes are full of crocodile tears, worrying about their jobs and promotions above all else. Many have knowingly, or unknowingly, over the years used their words to facilitate this vile activity at the expense of our children. And now these same people are dancing about in the limelight, pretending they cared all along. I would advocate that voters get smart and in future do not vote for any Labour, Lib Dem or Green politician who has ever served as an MP. That is the way to clear the dead wood out of Parliament. And forget the red-blue rosette left and right cheek of the same uni-party tailpipe. The power is now in the hands of the people. I would say that the vast majority of those MPs are compromised in some form or other. And in that I include one or two from a certain new party as well. Always look at what they do, not at what they say. Now, just a quick intervention. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe and comment below, and become a member of this channel to get extra content for less than the price of a pint in a London pub every month by clicking on the join button or following the link in the descriptions box below on a laptop or desktop computer. Now, you may not have seen it, but former Tory and UKIP MP Douglas Carswell responded on X to a report from the National Crime Agency about Operation Stovewood that pursues historic cases such as these, where the NCA said that 64% of Operation Stovewood's alleged perpetrators come from a specific demographic, the very demographic everyone is talking about. 64%. British was 22%. And Carswell's response on X was that massive deportations are now necessary. Now, I'm still not sure where we are with the algorithm on this platform and what words and phrases we can use where this absolutely disgraceful and humiliating national affair is concerned. So I will still play cagey, but I'm sure you'll all understand why. Now, a lot of people are placing the blame for this not being recognised earlier as a problem on the lack of ethnic and other related data in the ONS and police crime figures over the years. And they get all outraged that no one was collecting that data. Well, I will just say that encouraging a hostile environment against anyone even mentioning doing such a thing did not help. But at the end of the day, the law is the law. And under the law, children are to be treated as children and protected as such by law enforcement and child protection agencies. But that did not, repeat not, happen. And the data was not collected. And we now live in a digital age where collecting and disseminating such safeguarding information across government departments has never been easier. But we still have those like Darren Jones, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, telling a Question Time audience that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies and women. Then later, having to find the off-ramp of saying he was referring to just one boat or something like that. These are the type of people that must be cleared out at the next election. Otherwise, the gaslighting and obfuscation will continue. The other massive elephant in the room that must be addressed is the amount of money that contractors are paid by the taxpayer to greet and house these newcomers. These contractors are rolling in public dosh, as are many landlords who can have their properties taken off their hands for a very handsome annual return in the knowledge that the contractor will pick up all the tabs and refurbishment costs and then hand back a pristine property to the landlord at the end of the term. And the uni-party establishment will claim they've stopped the use of hotels for asylum seekers, when all they've done is swapped one form of taxpayer-funded accommodation for another, probably more expensive sort. All the while, ordinary Brits find it harder and harder to rent or buy their own property. But because of the pull factors, like the big one already discussed, the government will in the end no doubt have to use hotels and rented accommodation to house them all. And it will keep getting worse unless we force our politicians to stop it now. Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.